Ladies and gentlemen, I want to read you an article. I have it right here on my phone. Trump's secret papers and the myth of presidential security clearance. Unlike U.S. intelligence officials, this is the Washington Post. Unlike U.S. intelligence officials, presidents are not read in or read out of classified matters, complicating any potential prosecution, experts say. Prosecutors scrutinizing Donald Trump for possible mishandling of classified information will have to do so without a key legal and factual element that has long been a staple of such cases. That's because unlike the vast majority of federal officials who have access to secret information, presidents are not made to sign paperwork or unclassified documents as part of their joining or leaving the government. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, he had lawful possession. He was given the documents legally and lawfully as president. He had the power to declassify almost anything. If there was restricted data pertaining to nuclear armament, then he had to get the Department of Energy. But his Secretary of Energy is a Trump Republican, was a Trump Republican. So you also have the issue of when he left, he was in contact with the National Archives and the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He didn't run secret servers, siphoning classified data outside the U.S. government, okay? Without even President Obama knowing that Clinton was transferring and siphoning this information from inside government networks outside of the U.S. government. Nobody knows how her team was able to do that. And I want a Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump 2024. But nobody knows how she was able to do that. By the way, I will have a live stream tonight at around 9:30 p.m. Pacific. So be here tonight for the live stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about this and more. They might indict Trump. I don't think they will. They could, simply as a public relations stunt, which was what the Mar-a-Lago raid was about. It wasn't about the rule of law because, as you can see below in the description section, the FBI gave Trump a thank you note in June. Literally a thank you note for cooperating. And no reasonable prosecutor could indict Clinton, according to Comey, even though he stated, although there are potential violations of the legal statutes regarding the handling of classified data. So the rule of law was ripped to shreds, and Clinton was above the law. You hear these vapid, once lofty but now vapid phrases. Well, nobody's above the rule of law. Yes, Clinton. They have all proven that Clinton and Hunter, who gets the Federal Bureau of Investigation to tell Facebook not to publish or not to allow a story from the New York Post revealing all his text messages, which are clear violations of the law. Okay, you would have, when people say, "Oh, well, it's not that big of a deal," you would have to actually read the text messages. And there's this notion on the left, apparently, or to the left of center, or among Democrats, that kickbacks. You heard a very, very, brilliant and respected scholar or, atheist say, "Oh, kickbacks, that's not even worse than Trump University." It's like, what? How on earth could you come to that conclusion? How on earth could you say graft and bribery isn't as bad as Trump University? And you could indict, here's the issue, you could have indicted Clinton and prosecuted Clinton because those surveys existed and you didn't need sources to tell you that. And Comey actually stated there were violations of the law. You can prosecute Hunter tomorrow. Those are clear violations of, you can't, graft and bribery are not legal in any country, not just the U.S. You can't prosecute Trump even if they indict him because he was a former president. You were going into uncharted territory here. Just because you have so much contempt and disdain for Trump. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, right now. We're going to zoom past 200,000 subs very soon. Okay, hit subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have a segment there tonight. And the Stock Market Crash channel. I'll have a segment tonight. And be here tonight for the live stream at around 9:30 p.m. But ladies and gentlemen, you have an issue, and if you want to give a super thanks, your super thanks is greatly appreciated. You want to support my work long term, my Patreon, ladies and gentlemen, is below in the pinned comment and description. But if he didn't, like Clinton actually did sign paperwork. She was given briefings on how to read and store classified data. Her team was warned or told not to engage in certain practices. They did anyway. Okay, so while it was secret, there were government agencies in the very beginning of the whole Clinton email saga that actually told members of her team, hey, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Okay, she was even confronted with the possibility of having a government email, and that she refused to have a government email address. Okay, you have to think about the issues pertaining to Trump and Clinton. Trump was a former president who had a dispute between the National Archives, the Department of Justice, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, all of them after him. Okay, so the notion that this is all apolitical is so absurd, you would have to be a complete imbecile. And every single time, like, whether it's Georgia or New York or the Mueller probe, or they can't accept, they couldn't even find anything to indict Trump. You don't even have to, you have to prove in the court of law the indictment, and you have to actually prosecute, you know, and convict the person. You can indict anyone. They used to say you could indict a ham sandwich. They can't even find anything on Trump to even indict him because they don't have anything other than contempt. But you can't use contempt and hearsay and gossip and quote-unquote journalism based on unnamed sources in a court of law. You could use Hunter's emails in a court of law. You can use the 150 suspicious financial transactions, the fact that Joe met with his business associates at the West Wing, in the West Wing and other locations throughout the U.S. government, according to the New York Post and others, the Daily Mail and others. You can use Comey's own words to indict Clinton again. Although there are potential violations of the legal statutes, we found an unreasonable attorney. So a reasonable attorney is apparently a lifelong liberal Democrat. An unreasonable, or a person who isn't reasonable, would be maybe a Trump supporter. I don't even know what Comey was referring to. He fabricated this fantasy of an attorney that would be unreasonable to prosecute Clinton. And then they say, well, there's no precedent. Well, sometimes a crime is so outlandish there's no precedent. That doesn't mean you shouldn't prosecute. With Trump, there actually is no precedent because no president has ever been treated in this manner by the government he left. He went into the government being set up and framed. He never worked with Russia. And now the new talking point among journalists is, well, he obstructed justice, therefore Mueller couldn't do his job. What? He gave hundreds of millions of documents. So it's not that they didn't have anything. Like, you have the entire United States intelligence community that could have compiled evidence that this man was emailing or getting paid off or communicating with intelligence officials of another country to collude. They couldn't find that. And that's what the accusation was. It wasn't, Manafort gave polling data. These people are okay with 20% of U.S. uranium capacity sold to that country, and President Obama not vetoing the sale. 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. Then they say it's a commodity. Well, so is oil. Well, then why is there an embargo? Why is there a ban on oil from that country, but you could sell them uranium? Does that make any sense at all? They always twist themselves into gigantic pretzels all the time to defend their viewpoint. But the way they work is, well, if they have all of media saying one thing, they must be right. That's not the way life works. You can have 1,000 people telling you to jump off a cliff. All 1,000 are wrong. So it doesn't, simply holding a popular opinion doesn't mean you're right. Okay, oftentimes, if you look at the hysteria or the groupthink within media, you could look Gulf of Tonkin, WMD. It's usually wrong. When all of society is heading towards a cliff on a story that is either fabricated or false, not many people are willing to stand up, or many people can't. And for understandable, obvious reasons. You have all of society trying to silence and suppress information. Or you have, for example, in this case, Facebook and social media algorithms. So sometimes it's very, very difficult, almost impossible. Okay? But hit subscribe to this channel. They can't prosecute Trump, and I'll be doing more segments on this. I used to think that they were going to indict him. They could possibly indict him, but they can't prosecute the man. They're not going to get him. He's never going to go to jail because he didn't commit a crime. I used to say he was never going to get indicted. They could indict an innocent man like they set up and framed an innocent man. They're capable of anything. They're capable of anything. If they can cover up Clinton's obvious crimes, and I want a Hillary Trump 2024, we have to redo 2016. And if they could suppress Hunter's story because it's an actual criminal issue. When Democrats say, well, this will help Trump, yeah, your corruption will actually help your political opponent. Isn't that bizarre? Maybe if more Democrats actually looked at their own side and said, wow, there's a lot of corruption we don't know about. Even more so than anything that's going on with Trump. With Trump, there's more hysteria. There's less corruption. Name me a crime. He got Mar-a-Lago raided. You couldn't even name the crime. If that happened to Hillary or Hunter, you would know exactly what was going on. It's public record what they did. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. Be here for the live stream tonight at around 9:30 p.m.